Kentucky Gun Doctor here. Welcome back. It's been a while since we made a video, but we are up and rolling and ready to go, and we will have more content coming soon. Today we're going to be doing a disassembly video of one of my favorite rifles, the Winchester 1892. The 92 was designed by John Moses Browning for the Winchester Company, and is basically just a scaled down version of the 1887. Mr. Browning designed and built the first prototype in only 2 weeks. This gun was also made famous by John Wayne. Now it only comes in pistol calibers such as the 32-20, the 38-40, the 44-40, and the 25-20. A later version in 1937 also came out with the 218B. This gun was phased out in 1945 and replaced by the 1894. But if you're a cowboy action shooter and you're looking for one and you don't want an original to pay the original prices, you can get a clone, and they're made by the Browning Company, Navy Arms, Chiappa, Army San Marco, and Rossi. On today's video, we're going to be doing a complete disassembly, and we're going to take apart every screw and disassemble this gun as much as possible. So let's get right into it. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is remove the buttstock. In order to do that, we're going to remove the tang screw. Find a properly fitted screwdriver, and what I mean by that is if you put a screwdriver in the slot and it turns side to side like this one, it's a no-go. So you get one that has a tight, proper fit and remove the screw. If this screw is too tight, tap it with a hammer. You know, that could loosen it up. If that doesn't work, don't just start prying on it. There's a specialty tool you can get. It's a driver. It's a screwdriver. It looks like a screwdriver. You place it on the screw in the head and hit it with a hammer, and it forces the screw to turn in small increments. It's a really handy tool to have. I highly recommend getting one. Okay, now we're going to remove this buttstock. It could be on here very tight. You know, if the gun hasn't been apart in a while, you know, it's been sitting in the gun cabinet and collecting dust. You can either, if you got a padded bench like I have here, you can hit it on the corner, tap it on the corner, and loosen it that way. Or you can use a rubber mallet and give it short, light taps. You don't want to start banging away on this thing. Give it short, light taps. See, it's starting to loosen up there, and it'll slide off, just like that. We'll set that to the side. Okay, the next part we're going to remove is the magazine tube. And in order to do that, you're going to have to remove the end cap screw. Now this screw goes through the end cap into the barrel itself. And it is under spring tension. Once you remove the screw completely, the magazine spring will push the end cap out. Okay. It appears there are rifle shell casings shoved in the end of the magazine tube. Maybe acting as a restrictor. I'm not really sure. You never know what you're going to find when you work on old guns. Okay. Now to remove the magazine tube, there's a pin right here at the base of this magazine ring. I'm missing my small punch, so I'm improvising. Drive that all the way through. Set it to the side. Okay, now once that's out, this magazine tube, especially on the newer guns, will slide straight out. But on the older ones, they get gummed up after so many years of use if they're not taken apart and cleaned properly. Alright, to remove it, you could cheat by putting in something metal and rocking it back and forth until it slides out. Now this magazine, okay, with the magazine tube removed, the next part you can remove is the magazine ring. Now in some of these, the newer models, the magazine ring will slide out to the side. But this magazine ring, on some of the older ones, is a dovetail, and it turns off. Okay, the next part you can remove is the tenon, and it's held in place by 2 tenon screws. They're fairly short screws, so they're not really tough to get out. Tenon slides right off. Once you got that off, the fore end comes right off. Now you can move on to the meat and potatoes. Alright, the next part you got to take out is the mainspring and the mainspring screw, which is located right under the lever. On the newer guns, it's not a flat bar spring. Bear with me here, I have a cold. Now this screw will be under quite a bit of tension, but it's necessary to remove the mainspring. Alright, the hammer and the tang are held on by this screw here. And like I said, you have to remove the mainspring first. Now the newer guns, like I said, they don't have a flat bar mainspring. They have a coil and bar, meaning that the coil slides over the bar, over the guide bar, like that, and you'll have to captivate it on the newer guns to remove it. Now, your lever has to be in the full forward position. It cannot be open at all. Go ahead and remove this. Now, the bottom tang slides straight back and out. Set that to the side. Hammer comes out the top. Alright, the next thing you're going to remove is this top screw here. This is the finger pin stop screw. Remove this. Comes out. Set that to the side. Now flip it over. See this hole right here? Get a small punch. That pin, it's in there pretty tight. That pin comes out. Now, once that's out, this drops straight down and comes out. There's your bars. Those are what holds the bolt closed. These are your locking bars. On the 94 Winchester, there's only one of these. That's why a lot of people love the Winchester 92, because the double locking bars made it an extra strong receiver. Alright, there's a pin right here you could take out to remove this spring right here. I'm not going to take it out. Okay, now the bolt can come straight out, and it just slides straight out the back, and we'll get to that in a second. Now the next part to come out is the carrier on the inside here, and it's held in by 2 screws on either side. We'll go ahead and remove those screws. And they may be in there a little tight, especially if the gun has never been apart. I believe this gun's been apart to a certain extent. They only went so far with it. If you notice, these screws so far down, they have like a bare space here, and that's for the carrier to ride on and operate smoothly. Set to this side. Now this carrier is a booger to get out. I'm going to get it stuck. I just know it. And there we go. We got it out. Now there's a detent on here. It's held in by a pin, and that's just so it's securely held in place when it operates up and down. Now this engages actually by the lever. This part of the lever catches it and forces it up, feeding in the next round. Alright, there's one more thing I'm going to take off. And we're going to take off this spring cover right here at the loading gate. And it's pretty simple to get off. Remove this screw here. And the loading gate will fall free on the inside. Just like that. I try to keep everything together. That way none of the threads get marred up. Like this particular gun, I'm going to be refinishing it, putting a new coat of blue on it. And I just don't want things to get messed up while I got it apart. I believe that as far as I'm going to take it down. Oh no, actually, we'll take out the cartridge guides too. There's two cartridge guides on the inside here. You can kind of see the indentation right here. There's one on either side and they match. And that's where the shell gets guided through into the chamber. We'll go ahead and take those out. Here, fall free. There's one. And the second one. And there it goes. Now this one right here, quick little note, there is a spring in there, so keep an eye on that little booger. Alright, the only thing that's left on this particular gun is a screw for a long range sight. I'm going to leave that in. The rear sight and the front sight. Now if you're going to remove the front sight, there is a small screw right here to the right of the sight, and just remove that, and just like most sights, it slides out one direction or the other. Okay, let's get to the parts we took out. The bottom tang contains the trigger and the trigger spring. It's pretty simple to remove. Short spring comes out. That's usually a flat bar spring in these older ones. And the trigger comes out via this pin here, but we're not going to take that out. It's not necessary right now. Alright, let's move on to the bolt. Now if you look right here on the bolt, this is your ejector. And it's got a decently strong spring, and there's a collar at the back of the ejector. See it right here? That usually all slides out pretty easy. A collar, yeah, of course it's stuck. There's the collar there. Alright, that slides out that way. Now, the firing pin is held in by this pin here. We'll go ahead and knock it out. Okay, it was giving me a little trouble there. Drive that pin out, and then you got to drive out the extractor pin. It didn't stuck. Extractor comes out. Nut your bolt. Oh, that was stuck in there good. There's your firing pin. You see it has a very robust firing pin. But that's the Winchester 92, completely stripped, safe for the sights, and the trigger. Until next time, I'm Kentucky Gun Doctor. Stay safe and keep shooting, America.